Hello guys and welcome back to another episode. So today we're going to talk about Holy Paladin PvE guide. So Holy Paladin is a very interesting healer. They are kind of very good to DPS and also healing at the same time. It's actually very normal. I can go into a random heroic, and if I pop up my Avenging Wrath and my Holy Avenger at the same time, I can actually sometimes easily be number one in damage. I know of course some damage dealers that is good gear know what to do and have stats will top me, but yesterday I was in a dungeon where I topped the damage because Holy Paladin is just dealing so much damage. So in an arena or PvP it's actually quite fun because you can kill people and heal yourself at the same time. But not enough about healing, damage. Now it's about the healing PvE guide as Holy Paladin. So today we're going to go through the stats, talent and rotation, how you actually use the gear. I will also cover quick the Azeroth traits, which Azeroth traits I think is nice and which one you probably also would like. So let's go first through the stats. So your main stats is going to be intellect. Intellect is going to be overruling everything you have. So every time you get a trinket, it will be best if it has intellect, like this one here and like this one here. Intellect trinkets is the most important thing, and of course also I would say eye level is the most important. So if you get, well, after intellect, critical strike is the most important stat for you. But even if you get a new gloves, or you can say new hands, that doesn't have crit but high eye level, I will still say go with the eye level, because intellect is so major important for you that it's increasing everything you do. So, and maybe some of you will say no, critical strike is more important, but I will say no, because intellect is more important. And well, you can go, yeah, I don't know, intellect is the best choice. So first of all, intellect at eye level, then critical strike, and then mastery. And of course mastery is because of your passive mastery change here. Increase healing done by up to 25 based on the proximity of your target. That means the closer you're standing to the tank, the more you're healing him. And also in old days when you had just your normal beacon of light, target this ally directly with flash here. Wrap a single target and hold it. Okay. In old days, beacon of light actually was also depending on this mastery, but I can see it doesn't do anymore. I had never really think about that. Oh well. So first of all, intellect, critical strike, mastery, haste and vitality. So intellect is because it's doing everything better you're doing. Critical strike is because Holy Paladin is probably the heal in the game that has most output healing. You know, directly numbers, no damage over time, no damage reduction. It's just numbers, numbers, numbers. So that's why critical strike is the most important, because it makes your spells crit more. And that means your output healing is going to be healing more. And also you already have Holy Shock that has a 30% chance increase of critical strike. So the more critical strike you can get, Holy Shock will almost be 100% critical strike. I mean, right now I have 90, and with this one here it's 49. So I mean, I already almost have 50% chance on Holy Shock to actually crit on me, and it crit. So it's a perfect spell. And again, every time you can see here, your Holy Shock criticals reduce the cast time of your next Holy Light and increase the healing of your next flash of light. So the crits of your Holy Light is pretty important in your rotation for either saving mana or healing more. So yeah, so intellect, crit, mastery, haste, vitality. So critical strike again, it's doubling all your healing, and it also makes your Holy Shock rotation even better. Mastery is, well, the closer you're standing to your tank, the more you're healing him. And with haste is, well, it's helping on your cooldowns. As you can see down here in the left side and right side where I have my spell, the cooldown is green. That means haste is actually increasing the cooldown. But again, our cooldowns are so low, so it's not the major thing that you have to think about. And the last one, vitality, is just, well, it's increasing the healing and decreasing damage taken, so, and damage doing, so, but it's not the same, it's not worth as the other two. Other three, you can say. So that was the stats. First of all, intellect, crit, mastery, haste, vitality. Cool. Now the talents. So the talents are quite, you could say, progression, raiding, dungeon, depending on what you're doing. So the first row here, Bestow Fate is my go-to talent and always my favorite one. I really love it because it's healing exactly the same as my Holy Shock. So that means I can use instant cast Bestow Fate, instant cast Holy Shock, and then after 3 seconds I get another free Holy Shock. So it's pretty cool if you just want someone quick healed up and you don't have while moving, because I can cast everything, just you can see, instantly. So Bestow Fate is my go-to. Crusader's Might is well, if you're going to be a damaged paladin as healer with Avenging Crusader, I would probably go with Crusader's Might. But Crusader's Might is only good if you actually are planning to deal damage, because it requires you to use 2x Crusader Strike. You can use it 2 charges. That means this talent here will reduce your cooldown of Holy Shock 3 seconds if you actually use Crusader Strike. If you don't use Crusader Strike, this talent will be wasted. And I see a lot of people taking this talent here, and I never see them go in a raid. I never see them go to the enemy in the raid and actually hit them. So I'm like, do you even know what talent you have to take? But I would say Bestow Fate is my favorite one. Light's Hammer is only cool if you are in a dungeon with a lot of trash mobs and you kind of help them with dealing damage and healing everyone. So Light's Hammer is not my recommended, but Bestow Fate is the go-to. The next row down here is actually, a lot of people think this doesn't really matter, but it's actually quite important. Rule of Law is a perfect healing spell, or you can say helps to healing spell in a raid, because it increases the range of your heals, and reach of the Mastery Lightbringer by 50. So that means right now I have 40 range, that means I will go up to 60 range, and also my Mastery will be increased by 50% also, so that means instead of 25 it will be something with a 40. Okay, it's too early for me for doing the math. You can do the math for me in the comments. So Rule of Law is great if you want some more additional range and some better, that you can say you're also healing more because your Mastery will be increased. So, but again, if you're just in a dungeon, never take it, because you will be standing so close to the tank that it can never be really good. But in a raid, it's perfect. In a dungeon or a raid where you have to move a lot and you want additional, you can say an additional horse to run around, I would say Cavalier is a great talent and it's really helping you out getting around. So if you have a dungeon where you need to run around, like example, if you're going to Uldir and you're going against Sigmas, that drops a lot of things on you, so you have to go out to the side with some clouds or else you'll wipe. He's a pretty cool boss to have Cavalier on. Unbreakable Spirit is really if you are not in a raid and if you're not if you don't need additional movement, Unbreakable Spirit is kind of the go-to. I mean, it makes your Divine Shield, Divine Protection and Lay on Hands 30% less cooldown. So I mean, it helps on a 10-minute Lay on Hands and Divine Shield 5 minutes and 1 minute Divine Protection, so it's kind of helping. I mean, instead of 10 minutes, it's 7 minutes, so it helps. The next row here, down here, I would actually always say that Binding Lights is probably the go-to, because Binding Light is a AoE. You can interrupt up to unlimited enemies. So if you're inside Underrot, where 5 skeletons will cast on the same time, what is it called, the shield they're using, 5 enemies, you can just use Binding Light and they will all bounce away, and you are interrupting them all. With Fist of Justice, well, it requires you to actually use your judgment to reduce the cooldown of your stun. So that means again you need to use your heal and your damage ability judgment all the time to decrease the cooldown of your Hammer of Justice. So Binding Light will be my go-to in dungeons and mythic dungeons, because you can help your team with interrupting, and it's really important. And also you can also take Repentance. So if you go into a mythic dungeon where you have to sheep and sap sometimes because else you will take too much damage, well, Repentance is great for that. But if you already have a mage and a rogue in your team, then don't take it and save it for the interrupt instead, because it's like a free sheep, you can say. So my favorite one will be Binding Light in mythic dungeons, and Repentance, also in Mythic Dungeons if you don't really have anyone that can sheep and sap. And for raids I will... you have so many that can interrupt, so this row here is kind of... you don't really need it in raid. The next one down here is actually quite interesting. Devotion Arrow will always be 100% the one you have to use in Mythic Dungeons. So Mythic Dungeons Devotion Arrow is the go-to. It decreases the damage you take in Mythic Dungeons and it can really help your team. But in a raid, I would personally never do Devotion Arrow. I would always take Aura of Mercy, because when you are in trouble, everyone is losing life, and you use your Aura Mastery that increases the range 40 and will increase the healing by 100. It's really great to hold up a lot of people. And also, if you're going to a raid, if you don't care about the healing meter, well, you can probably take Devotion Arrow. But if you like to be on the first place in the healing meter as a Holy Paladin, I would say, well, then you need Aura of Mercy, because I was in a raid yesterday where another Holy Paladin was over me, and I was like, why is he over me? I felt pretty good. So I looked on recount and saw that because of Aura Mercy, it healed 20% of all his healing, and I didn't have Aura Mercy, I had Devotion Arrow. So this one here, this little fella here that is passive, just made him heal so much more in the healing meter, so he was over me. And it's like, okay, so probably Devotion Arrow is maybe best, but Aura Mercy is helping you on the recount, so it looks better. So what is best? But again, Aura Mercy is healing everyone passive, so I would say it's a pretty nice go-to talent. But Devotion Arrow is 100% dungeons and mythics, and Aura of Mercy will save that for raids. Because in a dungeon it's really not going to help you anything, because you're taking so much direct damage in a so small group. So keep it for raid. Aura Sacrifice I cannot really recommend it, probably in PvP, but in PvE I don't see the potential at all in this one here. The next row here is quite interesting. If you like to damage, use Crusader Strike, use Avenging Crusader, Judgment of Light is a perfect talent. So also if you have the Azeroth trait here called this one here, judging a foe heals all allies within 8 yards of the enemy by 700. If you have this one here, Judgment of Light can be a fantastic talent to take, because everyone will heal themselves when they attack the enemy when you cast Judgment, and you also heal them with this talent here, or Azeroth trait. So it's a perfect win-win situation. But again, if you're not focusing on dealing damage and you want actually to have the best healing output, I would say Holy Avenger is the one for you. It increases your haste by 30 and it can increase your Holy Shock healing by 30 also. Also, if you want to do top damage as a Holy Paladin, this one here is also fantastic, because you're going to have 30% haste, and it helps a lot of your attacks, because you have faster attacks, and it decrease the cooldown of your Holy Shock. And again, this one here, the next one, Sanctified Wrath, so your Wrath is 25 seconds longer, and also reduce the Holy Shock cooldown by 50. So we'll have a Holy Avenger, a Sanctified Wrath, let's see right now. So 8.4, use this one here, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. So now I have 3 seconds cooldown on my Holy Shock. That means I can pretty much spam Holy Shock on the enemy and really get some great damage out. And also in a raid or dungeon you can heal a lot with only 3 second cooldown. For how long? For 20 seconds in total. 3 seconds cooldown on Holy Shock. It's pretty cool. So, but again, back to this row. I've got Judgment of Life if you like to maybe do damaging with your Judgment. Else I would say Holy Avenger is the go-to. Holy Prism I will keep away from that one. It's using way too much mana and you don't want the mana spell on it. So don't take Holy Prism at all. It's using way too much mana. Keep it on Holy Avenger or Judgment of Life if you like to use Judgment. Else I would say keep it on Holy Avenger. Holy Avenger is my go-to talent. The next row down here is Sanctified Wrath is the go-to in dungeons and Mythic Plus, because in Mythic Plus you can get so much damage directly that you don't have time to use Avenging Crusade, it's healing random free in your party. So that means if the free people that is getting healing is not the tank, well, then you're kind of screwed and you wipe. So Avenging Crusade is a fantastic spell to use in a raid because it heals so much to everyone. So in a raid, if you want to be top healing or help to the top healing, Avenging Crusade is fantastic because it heals everyone so much and you can help damaging. But in a Mythic, Sanctify Wrath is the go-to, and that's how it is. You can of course also take Sanctify Wrath in a raid if you don't like to damage, but Avenging Crusade is probably going to heal you most on the damage meter or healing meter because it heals so much. But again, Sanctify Wrath is also fantastic, so you can also take that if you don't want to damage. Awakening is not worth at all. It has way too small chance to pop, and you have to wait for 11 seconds every time you want this 50% drop chance. So it's I hope Blizzard changes this talent. The next one down here is pretty much up to the situation. So Beacon of Virtue is the you have to take it. If you're going to dungeons or Mythic, it's a go. You have to use it. If you don't use it, you will fail. So with this one here, you give. Normally you have your Beacon of Light, but with Beacon of Virtue, you're giving 4 persons Beacon of Light for 8 seconds. That means if you're on a boss where everyone is dropping down, you use Beacon of Virtue, you heal up. The person who doesn't have the, you know, again, 4 people is getting it out of 5 persons. So you're going to spam the person who didn't get it, and then everyone will but just get healed up insanely. It's, I mean, in Mythic dungeons, it's so. I played normally Resto Shaman and Resto Druid and Holy Priest, but with this one, this talent here, it's out healing every other healing class. It's so insane on bosses in Mythic dungeons. It's really boom. I think it will get nerfed someday, but right now it's so overpowered in Mythic dungeons, so you really have to use it. Beacon of Fate is fantastic if you're going to heal on a raid, because you can now put Beacon on both tanks. That means you will be the tank healer on the same time you're healing other people. So in a raid, Beacon of Fate is a go-to. You need to have Beacon of Fate in a raid no matter what, I would say. So Mythic Plus dungeons, Beacon of Virtue, and raid, Beacon of Fate. They are so meta right now. Divine Purpose, I will only use that for PvP. Every time. PvP is Divine Purpose, 100%. But in a raid, Beacon of Fate. In a dungeon of Mythic, Beacon of Virtue. Boom. So the rotation is not really much to talk about. I mean, your spells are pretty much straightforward, but let's try to talk about how you can best use your spells and how you don't use much more mana. So again, you should use Holy Shock every time you can, because Holy Shock is probably, well, it is your healing spell that has the lowest mana use. So Holy Shock is very important to use, because if you just spam Holy Shock, you will never get out of mana. Beside that, you should only use Light of Dawn if everyone is taking damage. If it's only one person taking damage, it's not worth it. It used too much mana and it's not healing enough. So only use Light of Dawn if more than 2 people is actually taking damage. Holy Light should be your main to healing. It should always be the healing that you spam, and it's kind of your main healing spell. Flashlight is only a healing spell you use if someone is really close to die and you don't have time for casting Holy Light. So Flash of Light is your, can you say, emergency healing, and Holy Light is your main healing, because it actually also heals more. So it heals 7,000 more, that's pretty much, but you only have 100k HP. So Holy Light is the go-to, and Flash of Light is your, you can say, number 2 healing. So again, for the rotation, I would always say spam Holy Shock for decreasing the mana use, and of course in a Mythic dungeon you don't care about mana, because you will never go out of mana on a normal boss, because your DPS will take care of killing him before you go out of mana. So on a Mythic boss, just spam Flash of Light if you're close, someone is close to dying, and you use your Light of Dawn as much as you want. But in a raid, you have to think about how you use your mana, because in a raid you will go easily out of mana if you don't think about. So Holy Shock, use it for keeping most of your mana. Also, every time Holy Shock is critting, you get Infusion of Light that increase the next Flash of Light by 40, or it reduces the cast time of Holy Light by 1.5 seconds. That's So now it's only 0.9 instead of flashlight that is 1.4. And the holy light also costs less mana and it heals more. So every time I get infusion of light from my holy shock, I always use holy light. It heals quick and it heals a lot. So holy shock and holy light should be the only two spells you're using when you're trying to save mana. Also remember, you have Light of Martyr that heals a lot, costs no mana, almost no mana, only 1400, but again, you're taking half of the damage it's healing. So right now it's healing 10k, but when you use it, it will damage you 5k, and all the time. The cool thing is that it's instant cast, so in a mythic dungeon or a dungeon, I use it a lot. I really use it so much, because then I pop on myself, bestow fate, and I just run around and spam Light of Martyr. I will never go out of mana that way, and it heals actually quite a lot. So if the tank is just running around getting some damage, well, I just Light of Martyr a little bit on him and cast Bestow Fate on myself, because Bestow Fate costs no mana, it's 1200. So if you can hold it up with Light of Martyr for a little time and Bestow Fate, it's really cool and it helps you so much on the mana. And also again, if your tank are so close to die and you just really need to heal him, you can spam Holy Shock and Light of Martyr to make sure that he will live. The only thing about Light of Martyr is when you use Beacon of Virtue or Beacon of Light, the other party members that is affected by Beacon will not get the healing. So it's kind of crap in that way. But if someone, just one person, need healing, it's perfect. I would say for mythic dungeons and dungeons, it's perfect Light of Martyr. In a raid, nah, it's probably not worth. But yeah, again. So Holy Shock, save mana. Holy Light, save mana. Bestow Fate, save mana. Boom. Only use Light of Dawn if more than 2 person is damaged. Only use Flash of Light if you really think this is important and you need to use a quick spell to actually hold it up. And if you don't have your Holy Shock up or your Light of Martyr, your Flash of Light should be really, you need really a good reason for using it, because it costs so much mana. So if I spam a Holy Flash of Light, I will go out of mana in no second. I mean, I'm already now on 80% and right now I'm on 70%. You can see I will go out of mana in 2 seconds. How will you sustain a boss fight in a raid on 10 minutes? It's insane. So yeah, remember also you have your mastery, so the closer you stay into the tank, the more the heal. And also standard, your auras is only, well, if I don't take this P talent, there, it only have 10 yards. So if you're standing 10 yards to your tank, you're healing him with your aura of Macy or giving him damage reduction by devotion aura. So yes, I know you're used to play a healer where you stand in the back, but now you play Holy Paladin and you have to stand together with the tank. But don't stand in front of the boss with the tank, because sometimes he cleaves and you will be one-shot. So sad life. Your cooldowns. So that was the basic spells. The cooldowns. You have a stun, that means you can interrupt a enemy. If you take the talent Binding Light, you have 2 interrupts, and your number 2 interrupt by Binding Light is AoE. That means everyone around you will be interrupted. It's perfect spell. Then you have Avenging Wrath that increase your healing and damage by 30%. So it's really insane. It helps you a lot with the damage and also healing. Sorry. It helps you with the damage and the healing a lot. And it also increases your critical strike by 30. So on the paper, I know Avenging Crusade says that it increases damage by 30 on your Crusader Strike and Judgment and your auto attack, and also your spells have faster cooldown, Judgment and Crusader Strike. But Avenging Crusade is actually not dealing more damage than Avenging Wrath, because Avenging Wrath increases the damage by 30% of all your damage. That means, if I go to my damage tab, my Judgment, my Holy Shock, my Crusader Strike, my Consecration and my auto attack will increase 30% of the damage. Avenging Crusade also only increase Crusader Strike and Judgment and auto attack. So it's like, it's really great for damaging and healing at the same time, so you don't have to think about healing. But if you really want to deal most damage, Well, Avenging Wrath is the best one, and if you can top it together with Holy Avenger, it's insane. 3-second cooldown only on your Holy Shock, really insane. Okay, so again, Avenging Wrath is for more healing, more damage. Holy Avenger is increasing the Holy Shock of your spells, increase healing of your Holy Shock by 30, and increase your haste by also 30%. So my Flash of Light right now is 1.1 second. It's really cool. And my Holy Light is 1.8 second. Then you of course have Bubble. If you're in a situation where you cannot heal or you're going to die as a healer, I mean, if the healer is going down and die, well, the group is pretty much fucked. If you don't have a Death Knight, Druid, Warlock that can combat rush you. So Divine Shield, if you're close to die, please use it. Then you have to dive at Divine Protection. And Divine Protection reduces all damage you take by 20% for 8 seconds. Also, it has no global cooldown, so that means you can actually stack it with a macro. So in my case, I have stacked it together with my trinket that has 1.5 minute cooldown. So when I use Divine Protection, I also use my trinket on someone I have clicked on or myself. I know you could probably do it better, but I really don't want to have a trinket as an extra spell down here. Aura of Mastery is so good. If you are having Devotion Aura, it increases all the damage reduced by 20%, so all in your party, and it gives you 40 range of it, so you don't have to stand close to people. Aura of Mercy, it's healing 1000, so it's 500, just 100% over it, so it's healing 1000 all the time, every second, and it's increased range of 40. While Aura of Mercy is actually, it heals all allies in the aura, and healing is increased by 100. Okay, so it doesn't really only heal 3 persons, it's healing everyone in the raid. So that's why the Paladin, he actually could out heal me, because it heals all the 25 people, and it heals for 1000 on each of them. I mean, that's crazy. And how long is it healing? For 8 seconds. So that means it's 4 healings. 4 healings, 1000. So it's 4000 healing. You just heal to everyone. Boom. It's nice. It's really nice. You also have your Bubble. You can use it on DPS. Remember, if you use it on a tank, I'm pretty sure he will use the aggro. But it removes all physical damage, and it's great. Blessing of Freedom, if you want to get out of snares. Blessing of Sacrifice has actually helped me quite a lot on Mythic Dungeons. If the tank is getting a lot of damage, I can use Blessing of Sacrifice on it, and it will transfer the damage he's getting to me, but it will only transfer, I think it's like 30%. Right now it's bugged, so it says it's 0%, but I'm pretty sure it's transferring to 30% of all damage he takes to you over 12 seconds. So it's pretty great. It's pretty great. I like it. It's because I have taken this one here. Now it's showing correct. Reduce their damage taken by 30, but you suffer 75 of the damage prevented. And it lasts 12 seconds until I get to 20% health. So it's really great. I mean, 30% damage reduction to your tank, insane. But again, you will also get damage, so be prepared to heal yourself and the tank. So I mean, that was pretty much my Holy Paladin guide. That's the stats, talents, rotation for how you should do your spells. I mean, that should be pretty much everything for a Holy Paladin. So remember your cool transmogs. In my case, I'm looking like a Death Knight, so it's pretty cool. So, well guys, thanks for watching my video. Leave down a comment if you have any questions about Holy Paladin, or if you're thinking I'm a noob and you want to help me on something and make me better, well, leave down a comment. Else I can just say thanks you guys for watching, and I'll probably make a Retribution Paladin video next time. So thanks you guys for watching, have a great day, and enjoy Battle for Azeroth.